Okay, just will recap what we discussed in yesterday's session. In yesterday's session, we discussed to create the primary ledger, we need four components. The first component is accounting calendar. In yesterday's session, we created accounting calendar. First, we created period type, then we created accounting calendar. And currency also we enabled. And chart of accounts, we discussed about few points which are very key points related to chart of accounts. Okay, so to create period type, this is the navigation we used. For accounting calendar, this is the navigation we used to define in the system. And to enable the currency, this is the navigation for general ledger responsibility, setup currency is defined. And when you talk about chart of accounts, we know like we create organization structure. Within that, we'll have a segments. To maintain the segment values for each segment, we need value set. How many segments we create in chart of accounts, those many value sets also we have to create. Then with the help of value set, we can create the segment values for respective segment. And apart from that, we discuss few more points. Within the chart of accounts, we have two type of qualifiers. Okay, within the chart of accounts, we have two type of qualifiers. Those are flex field qualifiers and segment qualifiers. The flex field qualifiers are six. Okay, those are balancing, natural account, cost center, intercompany, secondary tracking, and management segment flex field qualifier. The flex field qualifiers we assign to segments. And when we talk about, again, out of six, two we have as a mandatory flex field qualifiers. Those are balancing and natural account. Balancing segment flex field qualifier we assign generally to company, and that means what level you want to balance your business transactions and what level you want to generate the reporting. In all the aspects, we'll decide which segment should act as a balancing. Generally, company we can use as a balancing, and natural account segment flex field qualifier always will assign to account segment only. The rest of qualifiers are not that much mandatory. When we start working on the modules, we'll discuss whenever we have to understand the respective functionality, what is the purpose, how those will behave, everything will understand. So the same way we have segment qualifiers also. We have five segment qualifiers. The segment qualifiers always will assign to segment values. When you look at segment qualifiers, we have five. Those are allow, budgeting, allow posting, account type, third party control account, and reconcile. Okay, these five we have. And other point we discussed, within the chart of accounts, max we can create 30 segments, but always Oracle recommends try to use less number of segments so that your system performance will be very rich. Because Oracle is giving option to create 30 segments, if you are going to create 20 unnecessarily or it may be required, so that will become big issue in terms of system performance. You have to minimize the number of segments you use. At the same time, you have to look at the productivity of the segment usage in terms of accounting as well as reporting. And within the chart of accounts, if you want to create the chart of accounts, minimum we have to use two segments. Those two segments are balancing segment and natural account segment. Which segment we call as balancing segment? To which segment we are assigning balancing segment flex field qualifier, that segment you can call as balancing segment. And to which segment you are assigning natural account segment flex field qualifier, that segment we call as natural account segment. Here generally we assign balancing segment to balancing segment flex field qualifier to company. That is the reason company we are calling as balancing segment. Always we assign natural account segment flex field qualifier to account. So account segment we are calling as natural account segment. Okay, so these are the points we discussed in last session. Fine. So I talk about today's session. Okay, it's going to be sixth session. So in today we'll see how to create the primary ledger. We'll see how to create primary ledger. Okay, how to create the primary ledger. To create the primary ledger, we need four components. Okay, already we discussed. Accounting calendar we have. Okay, that anyway, once again we don't discuss. We have accounting calendar ready, currency we enabled, and we have to see. Let me write here. It will be better. Just we can have a information here so that we can refer and we can discuss. Accounting calendar. Okay, it's ready already. Just we define currency. Currency already we enabled. Accounting method, it's there in the system, you don't need to create. Only the fourth component is chart of accounts, that is pending. Chart of accounts, COA. Now we'll see how to create the chart of accounts. How to create the chart of accounts. This is a task we are going to work. Before we get into this, okay, we have to remember all the points whatever we discussed in yesterday's session. Okay, let's see how to create the chart of accounts. It's a very simple process as we discussed in yesterday previous session. Okay, how to create chart of account. This is the points you have to remember. Okay, I think not in this here. Structure, segments, value sets, and segment values. This is what we have to create. Another point is chart of accounts always we can create within the accounting key flex field, which is one of the feature in GL. That means in GL, by using accounting key flex field, we are going to create our chart of accounts. By using the chart of accounts, we can capture the description of the transaction. Done. So we will log into the instance. So this is our instance. So username is operations. Password is welcome. Click on login. Okay, so what is the responsibility we are using? General ledger, vision operations, USA. Just scroll little down, you can find that responsibility. Okay, see in the last session the same instance we used, but just we upgraded to latest version. Okay, in the last session this instance we were using with the version called as 12.1.3. now the current version which we upgraded is 12.2.4. this is the version we have now. The current this instance we have with this version 12.2.4. simply you can call as 12.2.4. fine. Okay, so here this is our responsibility. You can expand it. General ledger, vision operations, USA. Expand. To open this responsibility in the form based environment, we know what we have to do. Expand any one of the submenu and click on any one of the function. So this pop-up, it is asking to run the Java file and all. Just say run. Okay, just close it. Now what we are going to do, we are going to create the responsibility. Sorry, we are going to create the chart of accounts. Take the navigation. Please make a note. Please make a note each and every point what we are discussing and what we are doing in the system, what I am writing on in the spreadsheet or notepad, whatever. So take the navigation. Task name is create chart of accounts. The task name is create chart of accounts. Okay, task name is create chart of accounts. Take the navigation. The navigation is setup. Take all the points. Setup, financials, setup, financials, flex fields. The navigation is setup, financials, flex fields. Okay, in which flex field we create the chart of accounts? accounting key flex field. Remember, key flex field. So accounting key flex field. So just double click on flex field. There you can see key. Okay, again double click, it will open. Okay, so this is a navigation to create the chart of accounts, setup, financials, flex fields, key, segments. Setup, financials, flex fields, key, segments. By using this navigation, we can create the chart of accounts. So already discussed one point where we can create the chart of accounts in accounting key flex field. Where we have accounting key flex field? In general ledger application. Fine. So here the same navigation you can see on top also here within the navigator. So setup, financials, flex fields, key, segments. Just double click. Okay, it will open this form. From this form we can create the chart of accounts. Fine. So here, in which application, okay, through which application you can create general ledger. So after opening this form, click on find. Simple process. Click on find. So we are going to create the chart of accounts. Chart of accounts we can create within the accounting key flex field. Accounting key flex field we have in GL, right? General ledger. Just type G here. It will filter with the general ledger application. See, within the general ledger application, we have three key flex fields. We have three key flex fields. Those are accounting key flex field, GL ledger flex field, reporting attribute, accounting flex field. You no need to understand all these. We require as of now only accounting flex field. We discussed this as a accounting key flex field. Yes, reality the name is accounting key flex field, but the display name they are giving as accounting flex field. This is nothing but accounting key flex field. Okay, now what we have to do is you have to select this combination. Application is general ledger, title is accounting flex field. Just say OK. So here application is selected as general ledger, flex field title nothing but flex field name. Which flex field we can use to create the chart of accounts? Accounting key flex field. Accounting key flex field only. Here they are displaying as accounting flex field. It's nothing but accounting key flex field only. So within accounting key flex field we can create the chart of accounts, right? So within this accounting key flex field, these all are the chart of accounts which are already existing, because this is a demo instance, or call it as vision instance. Already we discussed the vision instance. Oracle created many definitions as a sample data. These all are created by Oracle. But when you are working in real time, what happens is here you don't find any chart of account structure. This section will be empty. This section will be empty. So you will be creating whatever you require. So that's how it works. Just remember, try to understand this point. So now anyway, we have many chart of account structures, but we are not going to refer anything. We are not going to use any existed chart of account structures. We want to create our own chart of account structure. First, what we have to do here? First, we have to create structure name, right? We have to give the structure name for our segment values, segments. For everything, what is the name we want to give? So that we call as structure name. So here, if you want to give the structure name, place cursor anywhere here. Okay, structure codes. Under structure codes, place cursor in any one of the field. And here we want to create our own structure. We want to create our own structure, organization structure, or you can say accounting structure, anything you can call. So to create, place cursor here and click on this new icon. Here we have a plus symbol. Okay, if you click on this, it will open new record space. See here, I am placing the cursor here and click on new. It will open the new record space. By using that empty record space, we can create our own structure. If I want to remove that space, the simple use F6. If you use F6, the open, whatever the row is opened in any form, that will be closed. That's how it works. So the option is place the cursor here and click on new. If you don't want to open the new record space by clicking on new, what you can do is place cursor anywhere, use control down arrow from your keyboard. Hold control and use down arrow, it will open the new record space. Whatever it may be the process, finally we need one new record space. That's all. Fine. If you want to close this, F6. Right? F6. That's all. So I want to create one new chart of accounts. New chart of accounts structure. So here, place cursor here, click on new. And when we are creating our own chart of account structure, what are the general naming conventions we can we can provide to our structure? These are the generic practices, generic naming conventions we'll be using. Normally we use structure name as, if company name is, say we'll take company name as ERP tree. So in that case, we'll create structure name as ERP tree accounting flex field. This is how I can give the naming convention for our structure name, or else I can give ERP tree organization structure. If not this name, I may give the name as ERP tree chart of accounts structure. Okay, this is how we can write. Don't go with your own naming conventions. These are the generic, very generic and very relevant naming conventions we can use when we are defining the structure name. So very generally, this is the first one we'll be using. Okay. So within the accounting key flex field, we are creating the structure for which company, the company name we are keeping as prefix. That's it. So ERP tree accounting flex field. Within that accounting key flex field, we are creating the structure. That is the reason the same we are mentioning. So this is a very generic naming convention which we can use. Otherwise, you can create like this. You may write as a accounting flex field or organization structure, or you can straight away very just what exactly we are creating by replicating that name. You can write as a ERP tree chart of accounts structure. I just recommend you or suggest you to go with this kind of naming convention. Okay. Now let's go and give the structure name as a ERP tree accounting flex field. And one more point here, we are going to give the structure code. When you say code system point of view, always it's recommended to give the uppercase. And what Oracle recommends is, don't keep any space when you are writing the name. The meaning is, see, I'm going to write here. I'll write ERP tree accounting flex field. I'll write the name like this. When I'm writing here, there is some space between accounting and flex field. There is some space. If I don't give the space, it may be difficult to read. That is the reason I'm giving space. But what Oracle recommends, don't give any space when you are writing any code in the system environment. It can be our chart of account structure code or anything else. When you are writing the code, always it's recommendable not to go with some space. The reason is, the reason when I talk about our chart of account structure, so this is a very, very important definitions throughout all what we create in the system. So very, very important one, because in any application, every application, the same chart of accounts we have to use to record the business transaction. So this is that much important to maintain in proper way. That is the reason what Oracle recommends, don't give any space. Okay. So, but there should be readability format. For that reason, what Oracle recommends, instead of giving space, give underscore, so that it will separate these two, separate these words what you are writing as a name, and it appears as a space, and it will fill the gap also. So why we have to fill the gap? Because we'll be using this chart of account structure for very long period, and for every transaction we'll be using. So we have to make sure that, okay, it won't get disturbed by some database related objects and all. So simple point here, I'm going to keep underscore. That's it. So take simple example. We have room. Take example institute. When we talk about institute, the classroom, people will come for classes, they'll attend. After one batch, there may be some second batch, third batch. By end of the day, if you look at the room, you will be finding a lot of dust in the room that we have to sweep. The same way, however, when people are coming and going into the room, in the same way, when data is getting into the tables, within the tables also, invalid objects will get generated. Invalid objects will be created in the database tables also. However, when people are coming into room, the dust will get formed. The same way, when data is coming into database tables, some invalid objects will be created automatically. Generally, when you are working, that kind of invalid objects, okay, will be removed, cleared by DBA. DBA is responsible to sweep invalid objects which are there in the database. Just simple point. Okay, so if you don't keep space, some invalid objects may come and enter into this space. So those may disturb our structure definition. So that is the reason it's always recommended to keep some underscore instead of giving space. If you don't give underscore also, the readability will be missing. Okay, this is a point to understand here. Then just tab out. Whatever the code you given, system will copy here. But you should not accept that. Remove and write in the actual format how generally we write. So all are in the uppercase, and again we have underscore and all. Right, just remove this whatever system copied. Now you can write in proper way. ERP3, say accounting flex field. Okay, done. I may write here as a title as a ERP. Fine. ERP3 accounting flex field. Here you may write the description. I'll write the description. ERP3.com accounting flex field. And don't write any view name. View name is related to database. Okay, that's not required. If you want to write, you should write this also without any space. Without any space you have to write. So but generally not required. We don't need to give any view name. That's a completely database related concept. You don't need to worry about it. You can ignore it. Okay, anyway, automatically system will create the view for every chart of account structure. For that reason, you don't need to go and give your own naming convention. Just we have to give the structure code, and for the same structure code you have to give the title, and optionally you may write the description. That's all. So now you can save it. Control S. After saving, the code got freezed. Now you cannot update structure code. Whatever the name we given as ERP3 accounting flex field. So this we cannot change. If you want to change, you can change the title only, title or description. Okay, just this is the point we have to understand. Done. So now we done with the structure name. Structure name we given as a ERP accounting flex field. Now next we have to create the segments, right? As we discussed, as a part of chart of accounts, first we'll give the structure name, then we have to create segments. Create segments. Okay, create segments. So what we'll do is, let's go and create few segments. Okay, let's go and create few segments. So here I'll create the segments as, say, company. We'll create segments called as company, and say department, say account. So now in this stage we'll go with these three segments. These three are enough, and again we'll be creating the another chart of accounts. At that time I'll explain you few more points. Then at that time we'll create our chart of accounts, maybe with the 6 or 7 segments. Okay, for now these 3 segments are enough to understand what we are trying to do here. Okay, let's go with these 3 segments. Okay, we created structure. Within the structure we have to create these 3 segments. Let's go and create it. So this is our structure. So now select structure. Whatever the structure you created, select it. After selecting the structure, click on segments tab. Okay, click on segments tab. Or else say for example you create a structure, you may close again, you can come and you can find and you can do anytime. It's not mandatory same time you have to create, but generally we'll do as a sequence one by one. So anyway, we create a structure name, select structure and click on segments. We click on segments. Here how many segments we can create? Max 30, but minimum how many require? 2 we require. But now we are going to create 3 segments. Those are company, department and account segment. Okay, so what we are doing, just I'm closing everything. To create the chart of account structure, what we have to do, we have to take the navigation called as setup, financials, flex fields, key, segments. After taking this navigation, we have to go to find and search for general ledger. Just type G, it will filter, and within the general ledger application we'll use accounting flex field to create our chart of account. So the first general ledger and accounting flex field combination you can select and say okay. Within this accounting flex field, how many structures are already created, all you can see. Okay, if you want to create new one, place cursor and use control down arrow and you can create whatever you want to create. Okay, if you want to remove that record, just simply you can just go and use F6, that will be removed. Anyway, now we created our chart of account structure. If you want to find it, if you want to create the segments for that, what you can do is just place cursor here, click on find. Within this accounting flex field we have many chart of account structures. Now we'll go and find our chart of account structure. It starts with E, right? So this is the one, ERP tree accounting flex field. Say okay, this is our chart of account structure which we create, just we are filtering. Fine, now we have to select it, then click on segments tab, click on segments tab. Okay, how many segments we want to create now? Just 3 segments. Let's go and create it. So this is the first segment, I'm giving the number as a 1. So what is the segment name? Company, right? Company. Okay, I given company. Just tab out to move to the next field. Tab out. What system will do is same name it will copy as a window prompt. See here, it's copied. Once you tab out, the segment name it is copying as a window prompt. Window prompt is nothing but display name. When we are recording the business transaction, how the segment name should appear, that we call as window prompt. How we are creating the segment, generally in the same way we want to see when you are recording the transaction. Generally we no need to change it. Okay, we no need to change it. Fine, done. Now this is going to be out of 30 segments, we can create max 30. Out of 30, this is going to be first segment. Okay, this is a field name is column, so the column represent segment. So 30 segments we have. Just click on this LOV, you can see those 30 segments in this LOV list. See here, the maximum number here you can see is 30, segment 30. You don't see more than 30 here. So now anyway, the segment which you are creating, that is first segment. All are not in the sequence, that you can notice here. So anyway, we are creating the first segment. So select the segment number as a 1, segment 1. Select and say okay and save it. We created one segment. Okay, this is how we can create the segments. Very simple process. We'll give the number and we'll give the segment name. Once you tab out, system will copy the same name as a window prompt. Then you can give the column as a segment 1. Hope everybody is taking these points. It's very important. You have to make a note. When you are practicing, you have to follow your note only. Don't plan to depend on videos. You will play and you will practice. It's very headache process. You may play one time just to go through, but don't plan these videos to practice and all. Then let's go and create second segment. Number is 2. Okay, so what is our second segment? As we plan here, department. So department, just tab out, it will copy the name as a window prompt. And segment 2, you can click on LOV, you can look for segment 2. Here we have segment 2. These all segments are not arranged in the sequence. Okay, so no issues we have, that is enough. Select segment 2 and save it. Okay, you can select any segment, but after one, if I'm going to select 10, it's a meaningless, right? After one there should be two. Anyway, 30 you can use, any segment you can select, but we should not do like that. System will accept, there won't be an issue, but we should go in the sequence only. So the next one is third segment. What is our third segment? Account. So for now we'll go with 3 segments. Later we'll go with the 6 or 7 segments. We'll discuss why additional segments are required, on what base we decide how many segments are required. That's very important. So that will be just I'll take you through before we go with the actual process of implementation. Now initial maybe 2-3 sessions I'll take you through to give you the better understanding about how this can be created. Then slowly we'll get into the actual process. Okay, this is also part of actual process only, but just this same will repeat once again, that's all. So then third segment is account. Okay, so and one more point I want to tell here, this point may not be to everyone. Don't write the naming convention all uppercase account or all lowercase account. This is nonsense, right? We know you should not do that. Okay, if just there are some rules, yeah, there are some rules how we have to write it. If you look into this form anywhere, the naming convention how they written, this is a standard format, standard naming convention which you have to follow. Certain rules we have to follow, guidelines when you're writing something, the same we have to follow. Just go with our first letter uppercase, then write rest of letters as a lowercase. So segment name is account. Tab out, it will default to the next field as a window prompt. Then the segment number is going to be third segment. Scroll little down, here you can see segment number 3 and say okay and save it. We created 3 segments. Can we create segment values for any segment directly? No, we cannot create segment values under segments directly. If you want to create segment values for any segment, we require value set. So now we created 3 segments. For 3 segments to maintain the segment values, we have to create 3 value sets. We have to create one value set for company, another for department, the third value set for account. So now we have to create company value set, department value set, and account value set. Okay, let me take the same point here. So we created structure, or you can call it chart of account structure, or accounting flex field structure, or accounting flex field, anything you can call. So after that we created segments. Now for each segment we have to create value set. Say create value set. So task name is create value set. Create value set. We'll go on to create the value set. It's a very simple process. Okay, just focus on how to create, that's it. You don't need to look into many other points. Anyway, we'll come across some other points which we see in that window. Fine. So we are in this segment summary window. In the same window, just we create form. In the same form, we created company, department, account as a 3 segments. In the same form, you can see the tab called as value set. The same form, you can see the tab called as value set. So very simple, just click on this value set tab. It will open the window which will allow us to create the value set. So this is the value set form. Here let's create one value set for company. Let's create one value set for company. After company we'll create for department, finally we'll create for account. So we'll give the name. So always go with the prefix, or for which company we are doing this implementation, always go with that name. So I'll give the value set name as ERP3 company. I'm creating value set for company, so I'm just giving the value set name as ERP3 company. Okay, done. So you may write the description but not mandatory, ignore it. Okay, So what is list type and secure type? Now you no need to focus format type and all. These are some separate features. When you are working on that, we'll discuss. But now just focus on which fields we are touching. That is enough in this stage. Okay, at the stage those points are enough. First I am giving the value set name. Then here maximum size. Here it's very simple. If I give maximum size as a 1, that means this value set, what purpose I'm creating? To maintain the company values. If I give maximum size as 1, I can create companies in one digit. In one digit, what is the highest number? 9. That means 1 to 9 only I can create the companies. If I give 2, the possibility is 2 characters. Only in 2 characters only you can create the, in 2 digits. I'm sorry, in 2 digits you can create the companies. The 2 digits, what's the maximum number? 99. Okay, that means by using this value set you can create up to 99 companies max. If I give 3, up to 999 we can create. If I give 4, I can create up to 9999 I can create. Okay, fine, simple. Here I am giving 4. So here I have a flexibility to create from 1 to 9999, right? In this value set I am giving specification as a maximum size as 4. Maximum size 4 means with the 4 digits, what is the highest number? 9999. So I may go and create one company as a 1. Other company I may create as a 2000, because I can go up to 4 digits, any number I can take, 4 digit number. I may create one more as 150. Okay, I may create another one as a 10. So because we have a possibility up to 4 digits, so I may create one company as a 1 and other company as 2000, third 150 and 10. So here you don't see some unique format we are following for the numbering. For that reason, the best practice what we can do is, we are giving 4, that means always system has to take 4 digits. If you are going to enter, if you want the system to take other 3 digits as zeros, you may just display like this. And here 4 digits, this is okay. And here 150 you given. Here you specified 4 digits, but here 3 digits only. If any digit is missing, let system take, okay, the left side 0. And here 4 digits we targeted, but only user entered 2 only. Let system fill these remaining 2 digits. Now this you can find in certain format. If you want to maintain the values like this, if you are going to enter 1, if you want the system to take automatically 3 digits before that number, if you are going to enter 10, the left side, if you want the system to fill the remaining digits, in that case what we can do is, within this value set you can enable the checkbox. If you enable the checkbox, if you enter 1, it will take 0001. If you enter 10, 0010. That's how it will take. So just enable the checkbox. Okay, here we are not touching many fields also. Okay, in this stage we should not look into all those what you can see here. There is a time to go through. These are different features. When we touch those features, I'll take you through the other points also, which we have to understand. So how we are creating the value set? Now we are creating the value set for company. How we are creating? First we are giving the value set name. The next field is maximum size we are giving. And third option is checkbox. We are enabling write, justify and do 0 fill number. Here example also they given. If you take 4 and if you take 4 and if you enter 1, the left side it will fill with zeros. Here if you take 6, if you enter 1, the left side it will fill with the 5 zeros. That's how it works. Okay. So what is the list type, secure type and all these all will be discussing. Okay, there is time. Okay, we have time to discuss those things. Now if we start discussing means you'll find value set is very difficult task. So I don't want to give that experience. We'll go one by one. There is a plan how to execute all those things. We'll do that. Fine. So how we are creating the value set? We are giving the value set name. We are giving the maximum size. Just we are enabling right, justify and zero fill number, and what is the minimum maximum also we'll be discussing later. And notice this point, for our value set, for our company value set, system is taking the validation type as independent. Just notice, no need to do anything. When you are taking the note also, just make a note saying that okay, validation type is independent. This is a point you can write in your notebook, okay, if you are taking all these points. Okay, so if I ask you the question how to create value set, simply we have to answer. So first we'll give the value set name and we'll give the maximum size. We may enable right justify zero fill number, and we may provide required validation type. But now as of now system is taking the independent. Just focus on these 4 points only, then save it. Control S. Okay, control S. Don't worry, I'll take you through all this whatever you have to understand. Okay, I created company value set. Now for other, which segment we have to create? For department also we have to create one value set. So to create the value set for department, what you can do is place the cursor in value set name field and click on new. Anyway, this value set, company value set, already saved in the database. If you click on new, just it will refresh this form, but it's not going to delete this record from the database. Remember, it will just refresh, so that within the same form we can create one more value set. Just it will refresh. Just place the cursor in the value set name field, then click on new. Now we can give the value set name as ERP3 department. ERP3 department. And here, how many departments you want to create? Say I want to create only 10 departments. In case of 10, I can give 2. 2 will accept up to 99. With the 2 digits, the maximum number is 99. So up to 99 I can create. My requirement may be creating 10. In that case 2 is enough. Okay, but just I want to go with the 4. I may create the department numbers as 1,000, 2,000, 3,000. So for that reason I am taking maximum size as 4. This is not mandatory to enable. If you want to fill with the zeros, you can enable, so that that system will follow the unique formatting for all the numbers. Otherwise you will give 1, 20, 50, 100. It's when you look at those values, the uniqueness you don't find in the format. To make sure that, just you can enable the checkbox. Okay, and you can, and here also notice every, I mean for every value set what you create, by default system takes validation type as independent only. Just notice and remember what is the meaning of independent. What is the, what other values we have, all will be discussing. We have some other types also. It's very simple to understand, but there is time to discuss. Just save as of now. That's all. I created one more value set for department. Done. Now we have one more segment, account segment. To maintain the account segment values, we require value set. For that, what we can do is place the cursor in the value set name field, then click on new. Here you can give the value set name. Value set name I am going to give as ERP3 account. And for account, maximum size. Normally for accounts we'll have a huge number of accounts in the company. Okay, here I may take 5 or 6. Okay, whatever you want to take, you can take accordingly. Okay, for now just I'll go with the 4 only here also. Okay, we have one point to discuss on this. In the next time, when again we'll be creating one more chart of accounts, at the time I will explain you the additional points. Okay, for now just you can take 4, and I am going to enable the right justify and do zero fill number checkbox and save. Now we created 3 value sets. Now what we have to do is, the 3 value sets we have to assign to respective segments. I have a company value set. The company value set I have to assign to company segment. Department value set to department segment. Account value set to account segment, so that we can maintain the relevant values within that, which are mapped with the correct segment. So the next step is, say, assign value sets to segments. the right value set to right segment. Okay, we have to assign value set to segment. It's a very simple process. So how to assign value set to segments? So anyway, we created 3 value sets. You can close this value set form. Now we'll be landing on this form where we created our segments. Yes, we have 3 segments. Okay, and just now we created 3 value sets. Now I want to assign company value set to company segment. For this company segment, I want to assign company value set. How to assign? Against company segment, you can see one field called as value set. If I select company value set in this field, that only we call as value set assignment to company. The selection, okay, if you are selecting the value set here, that only we call as we are assigning value set to company. This is a process to assign value set to company. Let's assign value set to company segment. Okay, which value set? Company value set. Here you can type ERP tree and tab out. System will display how many value sets starts with the name called as ERP tree. Just tab out, it will display. Or else you may just click on LOV. We know this process very well. And here I can type ERP tree and say enter. It is displaying 3 value sets are there in our system which starts with ERP tree. Okay, now which value set we have to assign to company? So for company we created this value set. Okay, ERP tree company. Just say okay. I'm selecting here means I'm assigning value set to company. This is what you have to understand. Don't say we have to select the value set for segments. Don't use that sort of terminology. Whatever the terminology I'm using here for our discussion and explanation, use the same. That is the actual terminology which we use, which is specific to this product and which is related to our course. Okay, so by understanding the concept, don't start speaking in your own terminology or own way of presentation. You have to make sure that what are the terminology or terms I'm using throughout this course, you also should use the same. Okay, don't say we have to select value set for segment. Don't use the terminology. You should say we have to assign value set to company. Fine. Now we have to assign department value set to department segment. How to do that? Just type here ERP tree, or as you may type department also. I just type DE, then it will fetch automatically. And ERP tree ACC account. Just you may not type full name, it will come. Tab out, it will fetch. That's it. So we assigned 3 value sets to 3 departments. Then save it. Done. Good. So here we complete all these activities. We created structure, we created segments, we created value sets for each segment, and the same value sets we assign to segments. Okay, fine, done. If you look into our previous session, okay, what we discussed for segments, what we have to assign? Anyone please? What we have to assign to segments as per previous session? Anyone?
Flex field qualifiers.
Flex field qualifiers, yes, that's what we have to do now. Now take the point here as a assign flex field qualifiers. We discussed 2 flex field qualifiers are mandatory. What are those?
Company and account.
I'm sorry, my question is different.
Balancing natural account.
Balancing segment flex field qualifier and natural account segment flex field qualifiers we have to assign to the segments. These 2 qualifiers are mandatory, right? So now the same point. Balancing segment flex field qualifier we have to assign to which segment? Company. Natural account to account. The same statement I am going to write here. Okay, anyway, these points we discussed I am going to remove from here. So now the point, what task we are going to perform? Say assign, take all these points. You have to remember all these points, and you should be able to present all those points what we are discussing and doing in the same sequence, with the same terminology also. Okay, say assign balancing segment flex field qualifier to company segment. Okay, first we'll do this. After completing this, we'll assign natural account segment flex field qualifier to account segment. First we'll go and do this. Okay, now don't take any point from here. You can take this point. Up to this you can make a note. So after doing all these activities, we are going to assign balancing segment flex field qualifier to company segment. Okay, take up to here. Now whatever I'm going to show you, don't take it again. We'll be repeating once again. So how to assign flex field qualifiers to segment, specific qualifier to specific segment, that too. In the same form, here you can see tab called as flex field qualifiers. Don't take these points, just notice it. Anyway, we are going to do it once again. So in the same segments form, you can see the tab called as flex field qualifiers. How many flex field qualifiers we have in our chart of accounts?
6 flex field.
6 flex field qualifiers. 6 flex field qualifiers. Anyone can give those names?
Yeah, balancing natural account.
That's what we have to
Cost
prepare.
segment, intercompany segment, intercompany secondary tracking management segment.
Yeah.
Management segment.
Yeah, please don't mind. I am telling these points again and again. There should be quick answer. Then that is a real learning. So we are in the very beginning level. If you are not comfortable with the basic points which we are discussing, that whatever the terminology or stuff, the day by day will be adding too much information into our learning. So it will be great challenge for you if you don't start preparing from now. Okay, done. Anyway, I got the answer. So to see those 6 flex field qualifiers, you can click on this tab, flex field qualifiers. You can see those 6. See here, we have a cost center segment flex field qualifier, natural account segment flex field qualifier, balancing segment flex field qualifier, intercompany management segment, and secondary tracking segment flex field qualifier. We have those 6 flex field qualifiers. Don't take these points, already you taken. Now simple point, if I want to assign any segment, say for example my requirement is, don't take these points, my requirement is I want to assign balancing segment flex field qualifier to company segment. How to assign? Simple. Balancing segment flex field qualifier you want to assign to which segment? Company. So you want to assign to company, select company segment. After selecting the company segment, click on flex field qualifier. Then which qualifier you want to assign to balancing company? Balancing segment. For company, which qualifier you want to assign? Balancing. Just enable balancing, that only we treat as flex field qualifiers assignment to segments. So how to assign the flex field qualifier to segment? Select to which segment you want to assign. So I selected company. Then go to flex field qualifiers and enable which qualifier you want to assign to selected segment. Already selected segment is company. You can see here in the blue color. That means that segment got selected. And which segment you want to assign? Balancing. Enable balancing and save. That's what we call as assigning the flex field qualifiers to segments. Now we'll go and do it. Now you can make a note. So now what we are going to do is, we are going to assign balancing segment flex field qualifier to company segment. We are going to assign balancing segment flex field qualifier to company segment. How to assign? To which segment we want to assign? Select that segment. Select that segment. After selecting, take all these points. Select segment. Then click on flex field qualifiers. Click on flex field qualifiers. Now which segment you want to assign to company? Balancing. Enable balancing. And one more very important point is, you should be very clear on which qualifier you have to assign to which segment. by mistake, if you assign wrong qualifier to wrong segment, anyway system will allow you to remove that assignment. Once you assign the backend, the background, system will apply some properties. What properties we'll be discussing in the further classes. The simple point I'm trying to explain, once you assign any flex field qualifier to any segment, the qualifier has which qualities or which behavior that qualifier has, that behavior or qualities will get applied on the segment. You may realize, oh, by mistake I assigned so and so qualifier to so and so segment, this is a wrong assignment. You may realize, you can come and uncheck. Yeah, here you can, from front end you can see, yes, good, you corrected, but back end that cannot be corrected in case of this flex field qualifier assignment to the segments. Remember this point, it's very, very important. When you are working in real time, if you do this mistake, it will cause many issues. What kind of issues will get, I'll show you. I'm going to show you. I'll show you when we are going to create the segment values. At that time we can take the best example, I'll explain you. But remember, simple point, we have to be very sure on which qualifier we have to assign to which segment. Assign right qualifier to right segment. Now anyway, for company we are going to assign balancing. So select company, then click on flex field qualifiers. This form will open, and here enable balancing segment, then click on save. Now I can say I assign balancing segment flex field qualifier to company segment. It's very simple. I assign balancing segment flex field qualifier to company segment. I can say done. I completed. Close it. Now what is the next task? Assign natural account segment flex field qualifier to account segment. Okay. Fine. So assign natural account segment flex field qualifier to account segment. So how to do that? Go to segments. We want to assign natural account segment flex field qualifier to which segment? Account. So select account segment, then click on flex field qualifiers. You can see here selection is account. Select account segment, then click on flex field qualifiers. Which qualifier we have to assign to account? Natural account. Just be very clear on that. That's very, very important. So I'm just selecting, I'm going to enable this natural account segment flex field qualifier for my account segment, because here you can see in the blue color the selection it is displaying. Now here I'm going to enable natural account segment flex field qualifier. Enable. Don't forget to save it. That's very important. Save, then only the assignment will be saved. Now you can close it. That's all. So what we did, we assigned balancing segment flex field qualifier to company segment and natural account segment flex field qualifier to account segment. Good. Now segments we created, value sets we created, value sets we assigned to segments, and flex field qualifiers we also, mandatory flex field qualifiers we assigned to mandatory segments. Now I can close this segments form. Now we are back to structure. Fine. Now since we completed what we planned within the structure, we plan to create the segments. Yes, we created value sets and we assigned, and we plan to assign flex field qualifiers to segment. Everything we completed. You no need to do any other activities as of now. In upcoming sessions definitely we'll be doing many other tasks within this. Okay, so we done. Now what we have to do is, we discussed when we created accounting calendar, at the time we discussed whatever the task you perform in the system, or else whatever you create in the system which is very important in the system process that we have to submit to concurrent manager. Now we created our chart of account structure. You can call it as chart of account structure, or you can call it as accounting structure or accounting flex field structure, or anything you can call. Okay, already we just I given the names with which names you can call this definition. Okay, we created our accounting flex field. Okay, our chart of account structure, our organization structure we created. After creating this, we have to submit to concurrent manager. Before submitting to the concurrent manager, what we have to do is we have to lock this structure. If you don't lock the room, what happens? Someone can enter into this room. The same way, if we don't lock this structure, anyone can go and do some changes within that structure. They may enter into this structure, they can change that value sets, and they can change the segment names. Okay, so that is there. And other point is, before you go and submit to concurrent manager, you have to finalize your work. That only you can represent as a locking the structure. That generally here the term they given as freezing. So after creating the chart of accounts, before you go and submit to concurrent manager, what you have to do? You have to freeze it. Freeze nothing but locking. We are going to lock it. So here we have one checkbox called as freeze flex field definition. Enable it. Okay, what is the meaning of freeze flex field definition? You are going to lock it. If you freeze it, what happens is system won't allow anyone to go and do any changes once you freeze it. If you want to do any changes later point of time, what you have to do is you have to unfreeze. Uncheck this checkbox. Again, system will allow you to go and do some changes. Means you may change the segment name, or you may just change the value set name, or you may change some other information. But generally, it's not recommended to go and change chart of account related information once you create. It's a one-time decision which you have to take, which is very sensitive and system process point of view. Okay, so this need to be just discussed, okay, with the client, and we have to finalize those points. I'll be explaining in the next level of chart of accounts definition. For now, just let's try to understand how to create it, not with more meaning. It's a basic understanding. Let's do it. I'll explain you, don't worry. I'll take care of everything. Okay, so we are trying to freeze it. Now system is giving the same message. So what is the message meaning? See here, read it. Make sure you don't want to do any further changes, okay, within this flex field definition before freezing the flex field. Just it is saying, so if you want to do any changes, go and do the changes. After doing the changes, and you freeze it. After freezing, if you want to do any changes, you have to unfreeze. That's what the message meaning you can see here. Yes, that we know, the same just now we discussed. Save okay. Okay, we locked it. Now we have to submit to concurrent manager this entire chart of account structure, okay, or I'll say organization structure, or accounting flex field, whatever you call this chart of account structure. We have to submit to concurrent manager. Why we have to submit to concurrent manager? Concurrent manager knows everything, all the rules. We discussed a few rules. Okay, maximum you can create 30 segments. That is not at all rule. That is a possibility. The rule is, if you are creating any chart of accounts, you should have minimum 2 chart segments. That is a rule. And you should use minimum 2 flex field qualifiers. That is another rule. There should be minimum 2 segments, and you should use minimum 2 flex field qualifiers. These two comes under rules. Now we will be submitting this chart of accounts to our concurrent manager. What concurrent manager will do is, concurrent manager will notice everything, how the chart of account is created, how many segments we have, for every segments value sets are assigned or not, total minimum 2 we have or not. If you have 2, whether mandatory flex qualifiers are assigned or not, the flex field qualifiers, balancing a natural account segment flex field qualifiers are assigned or not, all it will look into. If something wrong, the concurrent manager will throws the warning. Okay, and if utterly wrong in the sense, you'll get error message. Okay, that's how the system process works. Now to submit to the concurrent manager, what we have to do is, after freezing, you should click on compile. Compile is nothing but it's equal to validation. You people might be knowing, if somebody is from technical background, after writing some programming, what we'll do, we'll compile it. We'll be validating the code, whatever code you are writing. So in the same way, the structure we are going to submit for validation. Okay, compile is, when you click on compile, system will validate the structure. Who will do the, who will perform this task? Concurrent manager will do that. Once you click on compile, the chart of accounts will be submitted to concurrent manager. Concurrent manager will validate it. Okay, so clear, right? What we did, so segments we created, value sets we created, value sets we assigned to segments, and we assigned two flex field qualifiers to the mandatory segments for company, balancing account, natural account. After that, we are closing. So before you go and submit before you go and submit to the concurrent manager, it's a mandatory, you have to freeze it. Without freezing, you cannot submit to concurrent manager. See here, if you don't freeze, the compile tab is not getting enabled. You have to lock it, you have to finalize it, then only you can submit to concurrent manager for validation. Fine, just enable the checkbox and say okay. My suggestion and request is, you don't start looking into these other fields which you can see in the same form. Don't start reading, that will become unnecessary work now. That's what I treat. Anyway, we are going to touch all those points. There is time, those are different futures. So don't focus on other things, whatever you see in here. You focus on what we are discussing. That is that level. First you have to get into that points. Okay, so freeze it. After freezing, click on compile. So once you click on compile, so system is compiling. Say okay, the request will be submitted to concurrent manager. System is saying the flex field was compiled successfully. Submit a request to generate flex field view, so and so view. Here the view we have, right? Here system will take its own view. You don't need to focus on that. Say just okay. That's it. Now if you go to that request window, here system, you see what it's running the request. It is running which request? Program general ledger flex field, and another program it is running as a flex field view generation. So two requests, these simply you can call as request, means we are requesting the concurrent manager to validate it. So it takes some time. If you want to complete as soon as possible, what you have to do is just hit concurrent manager by clicking on refresh data. Completed. Do you find any status as warning? If anything wrong within your chart of accounts, definitely you see the status as warning. Anytime you see some warning or error message, what you have to do is select that so and so request and click on view output. It will show the output, what is the reason that is ending with error or warning. So based on that, you can look into that and you can fix that issue, and you can once again you can go and submit for compilation. You can submit for you can submit to the concurrent manager to compile it. Okay, that's all. Now here you don't see any issue. How we are navigating to this form, already we discussed in the yesterday session. So view, request, click on find. I'm using the shortcuts, but you don't start using the shortcuts for now. You have to focus on the navigation. The reason is you should remember all the navigations in this stage. So view, request, click on find. What are the requests we are submitting to the concurrent manager? All those requests you can see in this request window. Basically this window, this request window, what you see here, generally this we call as SRS window. Just please make a note, SRS window. I don't know how many people are taking the notes. It's a mandatory, you should take, everyone. Okay, SRS stands for standard request submission. SRS window. SRS stands for standard request submission. Standard request submission. Okay, SRS stands for standard request submission. That's all. So this is the point you have to remember here. Done. So we have chart of accounts which is freezed and compiled. Everything is proper now. What is the next task? Tell me what is the next task as a part of chart of accounts. Already we discussed.
Segment values.
So tell me like what exactly? Segment values, what?
So basically, we created a chart of account or segment organization structure. Under
Yeah, you're
organization
correct. Your
structure,
point is correct. Just I am expecting as a statement. That's it. You given as you are telling as hint, but generally just make sure that just will be the presentation will be proper. Please don't mind. I'm trusting on this every point. So just you're saying correct. Just segment values. I expected like you'll be saying now we have to create the segment values. Fine. Thank you.
uh,
Okay. Fine done. Now we have to create the segment values. If you want to create the segment values, okay, if you want to create the segment values, what you have to do is every user cannot go and create the segment values. Simple point here, remember. Now we are in the version called as 12 point. Actually this we call as release 12, R12. R12 means release 12. The application version is release 12. In that actually series, that is we call as release 12, that means 12 is series. Within the release 12, the release 12 only we call as R12. In R12, the current version which you are using is simply 12.2.4. Okay, before 12.2.4, we have 12.2 and 12.1.3 and all. Till 12.1.3, before this, say like we have 12.2 point also, 2.0 also, but before that we have a version called as, I'm just referring from where we got changed, 12.1.3, sorry, 12.1.3. If you are working on this older version 12.1.3, straight away you can go and create the segment values for whatever the segment you want to create. We are very sure on that point. We are not directly going to create the segments under any segment. We are going to create the segments for any segment with the help of value set, right? We are going to create the segments. We are going to create the segment values with the help of value set. That means we enter the segment values into value set. Every value set is assigned to respective segment. That means that's how the values, segment values will be maintained under segment, right? So value sets we assign to segments. If you are entering the segment values into value set, those you are entering under segment only. That's what the logic you have to understand. Fine. So till what 12.1.3, simply you can call as 12.1.3. 12.1.3 till this 12.1.3 version. Okay, any user can go and create the segment values. Any user can go and create the segment values. But from later versions, what Oracle it is, the user should have privileges. The user should have privileges to create the segment values for any segment. That is the restriction they implemented. Now we are on 12.2.4 version. In 12.2.4 version, if you want to create the segments directly, you cannot create. Directly you cannot create. So for that user, okay, for that user, you should have a rights. How to set the rights? Okay, how to set the rights? But now we are using the user called as operations. Now we are using the user called as operations. Think already Oracle given the required rights to this user to create the segment values. For now, for just this definition, we'll go ahead in the same process, but anyway we'll be creating one more chart of accounts and we'll be having our own user. At that time I'll show you which privileges we have to set for specific user to create the segment values. Now let's go in the same how it supports, but anyway I'll be showing that point also. When you are using the operations, yes, think for operations already the permissions Oracle given, but when we create our own user, okay, how to set that security we'll discuss. For now nothing is required, just go ahead. When we are working through our user, I'll take you through that point which you have to consider before you go and create the segment values. Done. For now, I'll just, the next point here is say create segment values. Next task is say create segment values. Okay, create segment values. So when you say create segment values, the segment values will be creating within the value set. Already the value set is assigned to segment, right? Segments. The segments are part of chart of account structure. The chart of account structure is part of accounting key flex field. The accounting key flex field is there in general ledger application. That means if you take reverse case, we have to go to general ledger application. Within the general ledger application, we have to go to accounting key flex field. Within the accounting key flex field, we have to go to our chart of account structure. Within our chart of account structure, we have to go to specific segment to enter the segment values with the help of value set. This is what we have to understand. Okay, fine. Let's do it. Say create segment values. Take the navigation here. How to create the segment values. Okay. Here I am taking all these tasks in the sequence. Okay, let me just add few more rows. So here all I am taking the sequence. Just what I'm going to do here is create segment values. To create the segment values, take the navigation. Please take all these points. When you're attending, it's easy, we can understand, no doubt, but when you're practicing, it will be issue. Okay, please take all the points. I'm just closing this. Now I'm just collapsing this. So almost same navigation. What are the navigation we use to create the chart of account structure? Same navigation we have to use to create the segment values also. And only the other point is we have to use the separate function. Navigation is same, function will be different. Anyway, task name is say create segment values and take the navigation as, or else let me write here only. Once again, we can repeat this, not an issue. Navigation. What is the navigation? You take the navigation. Setup. From setup go to financials. Okay, navigation is setup, financials. When you are taking into your note also, please follow the same format of navigation how you enter. You just write like this only. Setup, put some arrow mark, or else directly you can, okay, put this mark, then say financials, but you can go in this way. Financials, follow the same format. This is how real when you're working, we'll prepare the documents and we'll be doing our work. Set up financials. From there you have to go to flex fields. Don't go with vertical manner. I can see here when some people are attending classroom training, I can see some notebooks, they'll be writing this not horizontally, vertically. In one page, one navigation will be there. Okay, that's how just people are doing. That's the reason I'm just pointing out here. Okay, fine. So set up financial flex field, then you can go with the key. From there you can go with the values. Anyway, I'll show you in the system. Set up financials, flex fields, key. And to create the chart of accounts, we are using the function called as segments. And now here you have to use this function. This is the navigation to create the segment values. Take the navigation. Setup, financials, flex fields, key, values. I'm going to write the same here. Setup, financials, flex fields, key, values. So by using this navigation, you can create the segment values. Let's go into create it. Double click. Already we discussed where we have to create the segment values under specific segment with the help of value set. So here two ways you can create. Okay, how you can create the segment values? Two options we have. The first one is direct. directly you can enter the values into directly enter segment values into value sets. Two options we have when you are going to create segment values. So directly you can enter the segment values into value set. The other option is enter segment values under segment. Two options we have. For any segment, if you want to create segment values, we have two options. One is, say I want to enter the company segment values. Company segment values, if I want to enter for company segment, already we assigned company value set. Straight away I can go and enter the values into company value set. Finally, the values will be available under company segment only. Or else, I don't want to go and select the value set to enter the values. I'll select the segment. I'll go and select the segment called as company. Under company, I will enter company 1 and 2 and 3. If I am entering some segment values under any segment, that is because of value set only. Whenever I enter this segment values under segment, that will go and store in the value set only, which value set is assigned to so and so segment. So that is the logic we have to understand here. It's very simple. I'll show you in the two ways you can understand. Okay, I'll show you in the two ways. First, I'll show you how to enter the segment values under segment. Okay, let's see how to enter the segment values under specific segment. So say I want to enter companies, okay, under company segment. So in that case, what we have to first we have to go to which application? General ledger. Okay, say general ledger application name is general ledger. Okay, fine. Seems to for this also no permissions Oracle given. Good. Now we can go and do it. I thought we can just go with our own. Fine. Operations also there are no permissions they given to work on our structure. Good. No issues. Now we'll go and do it. After doing, then I thought of just we can work on that later because we create our own. That's the reason just the permissions are not available. No issues. So if you want to create any segment values, let me take here this point. Just now it's not required. We'll discuss later. I'll just keep in this way. Okay, fine. So we're done up to here. Now the next step is we have to create the segment values. You are going to create the segment values means you are going to create segment values from the user called as operations. So you should have a permissions. You should have a permissions to create the segment values under any segment or within the value set. So for that reason, we have to go and give the privileges to the user, where this user, operations user, can go and create the segment values. How to give the permissions? So we have two options to do it. First we'll go with one option. Later I'll be explaining other option. So what we have to do is these permissions. So from where we are creating the calendar chart of accounts? From general ledger application. In the same way, for any user, if you want to give the privileges, means permissions to create the segment values, we have to go to the application called as user management. Now we have to go to application or say responsibility. With the application name only they create a responsibility. I'll call it as just say application. From which application we can give the permissions to the user to create the values from user management. Okay, now we have to go to user management application. When you say application, to access every application there will be responsibility, but in our system with the same, this is application name, with the application name only they created responsibility also. Here you can see application name and responsible name are same. Okay, done. So now the requirement is, see here, let's go to that same setup, financials, flex field, key, values. Now my requirement is I want to create the segment values for the segments whatever we have. In that case, your system should allow us to select the application. It is showing list of values contains no entries. That means we don't have permission. We have to get the permission to create the segment values. Try to understand this simple point. Okay, now we don't have permission. Being a operation user, we don't have any permissions to create the segment values. If you want to create the segment values, we have to get the permissions. From which application we can get the permissions? From user management application. From user management application, what we have to do is we have to assign the privileges to our user. Here we will go to the first step here is we'll go to the application called as user management application. There the next step is we'll assign require grants or permissions. Require grants to user. Which grants will assign? Which grants or which privileges or which roles will allow our user to create the segment values that grants will assign to our user. This is a simple task we'll perform. After completing this task means we have to assign the grants to our user. After completing this task, system will allow us to create the segment values directly under segment or directly into value set. Any option you can choose, it will allow, but for now here you don't see here I'm trying to select company. Normally what we have to do is we have to select the application as a general ledger, title is accounting flex field, structure is our chart of account, and for which segment you want to create the segment values. The segment you can select, you can click on find, it will allow us to create the respective segment values. If not this option, if you want to enter the values directly into value set instead of entering into segment, you can select here value set. If you select value set, what are the value sets we created, that system has to show here. If you can select your value set, you can enter the segment values into that, but if you click on LOV, it is not showing anything. It is showing list of values contains no entries. The reason is our current user, which user? Operations user, doesn't have any privileges to create any segment values. Now we will go and get the privileges to our current user, then we can create the segment values. Let's do it. So what is the process we have to follow? So we have to go to user management application. Now we are using which user? Operations user. The operations user has access to user management application. I can say user management responsibility. Actually that is application name, the same as this we can see in this user. So you can go to user management responsibility or say application. So where we have just now, you can go to the home page, the login page, and here we selected general ledger, right? In the same way you can see one responsibility called as user management. If you don't find here, we discussed for every instance there will be one user, default user called as sysadmin. You can log into the instance as a sysadmin user. In that user definitely will be having, when we are working in real time, that only will do. Anyway, that process also I'll be showing. So for now just try to understand that point. So from which application or from which responsibility we can give the permissions for the user to create the segment values? User management. Here see, is there any user management application or not for this? Press user. For this operations user, do you find any user management responsibility or application? So I don't know why just people will be unmuting in between the class. I'm requesting once again, please make sure that you are not going to unmute without having any question or any discussion, please. So here just look into that. Do you find any user management responsibility in this list? These all are responsibilities. I don't see anything here. If you assign to this user, yes, you can see from this user also, seems to that user management responsibility is not assigned to this user. In that case, what we have to do is you have to log into the instance as a sysadmin user. So I'm going to log out. I'm going to close this application environment. I'm going to log out from the current user. Here we have sign out, log out. Now, which application access we require to set up that privileges? User management. User management responsibility always will be available for the user called as sysadmin. Okay, just log into the system as a sysadmin user. Remember these points. Don't try with your users. These points are very, very important. So log into the system as a sysadmin user. By default, username is sysadmin, password also sysadmin. When you get the product from Oracle, so these are the default username and password. But when you are working in the company, it may not work. User will be sysadmin only. When you enter password called sysadmin, it may not work. What could be the reason? Think your DBA changed or somebody changed. Anyone can change the password. I'll show you how to change it. So anyway, in this environment, we have a sysadmin user and password just entered. But anyway, just even after showing how to change, you don't go and change password to sysadmin user. Okay, just click on login. I given the username as a sysadmin, password also sysadmin. So here navigator is showing some error message. No need to worry about it. Sign out once again and refresh this. Just refresh and log in once again and try. Sysadmin. Just click on login. And now it is loading everything. Fine. So for the sysadmin user, these are the different responsibilities already assigned by Oracle. This is a seeded user. Okay, in every product, in every environment you can find it, in every instance you can find it. Okay, these all are Oracle is assigning. Okay, not only in the vision environment, not only in the vision instance, or not only in the demo instance. So in every instance, this user will be there. For that user, all these responsibilities you can find as a default, which are already assigned along with the product. As a part of product solution only, they are assigning all these and they are giving. Now we have to go to which responsibility, or you can say which application? User management. Here we have a responsibility or application called as user management. Just expand this. Now what is our requirement? Our user. Who is our user? Operations. From operation user, when we are working on our application, we are not able to create the segment values. We are not able to create the segment values. Now we are going to give the permissions. How to do that? So expand user management. Just select function called as user. You see here all these functions are representing notepad icon. Similar to notepad icon. Already we discussed what function represented with the something like notepad icon that always will open the web page, not form. Now I'll click on users. It is not going to open any form. It will open the web page. Just click on select users function. Okay, this is the page. We are into page called as user management, user maintenance. Now for which user you want to give the privileges, which user you want to give the permissions, or say which user you want to give the grants, which allows the user to create the segment values. So the username is operations. You type here. Username is operations. Give the username, then click on go. Okay, click on go. So this is our username operations. Now what we have to do is click on update. Take all these points. Please take all these points. Okay, make a note. Each and everything should be there in your notebook. Click on update. If you are just attending, okay, you can attend directly, no issues. No need to take anything. You may take off, no use. Okay, click on update. We'll be landing in this page. Now what we have to do is, okay, I'll repeat it once again. Okay, I'll go to home. So first what we have to do, we have to log into the system as a sysadmin user. Only for sysadmin user you can find the application called as user management. Just you can expand it, and there you can see one function called as users. Click on users function, and for which user you want to give the grants to create the segment values, select that username here. Just enter here, username is operations. Okay, take all these points. I'm just giving the username. Click on go. So the system is displaying that user related record. Click on update. Fine. Click on update. Now we want to assign some grants or roles or say privileges, anything you can use the term, to this user. Which grants we want to assign? Which grants will allow this user to create the segment values? So for that, what you can do is, here we have a tab called as assign roles. We have one tab called as assign roles. Just click on assign roles tab. Now system is asking which roles you want to assign, or which privileges you want to give to this user, or which grants you want to provide. So the grants are related to flex field related grants. Means within the accounting flex field only, we are not able to from that user is not able to create segment values. So to find out that role, what you can do, simply you can search flex and give percentage. Please take all these points, follow the same, and make a note. If you need some time to take this, please let me know. I'll just wait and I'll proceed. Okay, you can stop me if required. Okay, just click on assign roles. This pop-up window will come. Okay, now you have to search for the role. To find the role, you can just type flex and give percentage. You don't need to write the full name. Then click on go. So here there is a role called as, what is the role name? Flex field value set security all privileges. So flex field value set security, that means in this version, okay, and a bit prior versions also, but not in the very older versions. Okay, in this version 12.2.4, even 12.2 also, not in 12.1.3. After 12.1.3, what Oracle it is, they implemented security concept for value set. In this version, in the previous version, say 12.1.3, any user can go and create the segment values, no security. But from the later versions, what Oracle it is, they implemented security. If you give the permission to the user by doing this role assignment, that user only can go and create the segment values. Reality in the companies that happens, right? We have to give the access to specific users to create the segment values. Sometimes we have to give the access to specific users for specific segment values only. That also we'll be discussing. Okay, that's a more different one. Just once we get into that also I'll be covering. Okay, for now, simple point is, for our current user, we want to give the access to create the segment values. Search with the flex and click on go. Here you can see the role called as flex field value set security all privileges. Enable this and say select. Take all the points. Enable and say select. So selected. Here you can see in this list already these are all privileges this user has by default. All these privileges this user has. Okay, and few are there which are assigned by based on the business process we assigned. So this is the one just now we assigned. Flex field value set security all privileges. Now here it's a mandatory, this field is mandatory. You have to write the justification. I'll say value set security related role we are assigning, and active from date, system is taking this date. Okay, and you can keep it the same, or else you can update to today's date, no issues. Okay, so then say apply. Just click on apply. Okay, now see here system is giving the message, just some kind of warning. So just its information. Okay, we are updating the roles, and these roles will really update in the system once the workflow engine is run properly. I mean, in the system, what happens is these roles related tasks can be performed. The role related, what are the roles we are assigning to the user, the updates will be taken care by workflow background. Okay, the background engine, the workflow background engine, that will take care of. Okay, that's a technical stuff. We don't need to look into that. Okay, so when you are working on something, I mean to say O2C cycle in order management, anyway, we have to understand the basic level of information. What is the workflow? At that time, we'll discuss more detail level. Now you don't need to worry about this warning. Yes, anyway, system will run it automatically. You don't need to worry about it. Done. We completed what we have to complete. Now you can think operations user has all the rights to create the segment values also. Operations user has rights to create all segment values. Now you can sign out or say log out from the current user. Now you can log into the instance as a operations user. Operations, say welcome. Click on login. Now go to general ledger responsibility. So general ledger vision operations. Click on enter. Okay, before we go to the next step, let me ask you do you have any questions? So whatever we discussed and whatever we did so far, any questions on that? Any clarification you required? Any confusion you are getting? Please. Let me open this. Any doubt? Any clarity you need on any point? If I'm confusing you, please let me know. I'll try to minimize that. Seems to no questions. Okay, fine. So now we are here with the operations user. We are accessing this application with operation user only, right? Here we are logging as a operations. Here you can see our user, right? So this operation user has all the privileges now to create the segment values. Now let's go and create the segment values. We'll follow the same navigation. This is the navigation. Okay, this is the navigation. So create segment values. This is the navigation already you've taken. Let's go and do it. Setup flex fields. Sorry, setup financials flex fields key values. Now, if you want to create segment values for any segment, the segment is part of structure. The structure is part of flex field. The flex field is belongs to particular application. Now tell me, so we have to go to which application? General ledger. Now if you type general ledger, it will come because this user has all privileges. Earlier it was not coming, right? If you click on LOB earlier, it is not opening anything. No list of values it is showing. Fine. And title. Within the general ledger application, we have our chart of accounts in which flex field? Accounting, right? Accounting flex field. Within the accounting flex field, what is our structure name? Starts with ERP tree. Just give some prefix, it will fetch automatically. So within this structure, we have three segments. You want to create the segment values for which segment? So I want to create for company. Okay, I want to create the segments for company. Okay, it's very simple. First, you have to select application general ledger. Within that application, okay, we have to go to accounting flex field, and within that flex field we have to go to structure. Within the structure we are navigating to segments. See, this means we are not doing, this is how system is going to give the access for us to create. Okay, for this is all we are giving for system understanding. Now after giving the company, that means you want to create segment values for company. Just click on find. Now here you can create your segment values. Now you tell me, anyone please tell me, for segment values what we have to assign. Already we discussed. Anyone please, what we have to assign to segment values? It's a very simple question. If you are preparing, yes, you can answer. If you are not preparing, you cannot answer. Sorry?
Segment qualifiers.
That's it.
Segment
Yeah.
qualifier.
Yes, we have to assign segment qualifiers. Already we discussed. For segments, we have to assign flex field qualifiers, but for segment values, we have to assign segment qualifiers. Can you tell me what are the segment qualifiers we have? How many we have and what are those? Anyone?
Yeah, we have five segments basically. Allow posting, allow budgeting, account type, third party control, and reconcile.
Yeah, that's all. So these 5 we have.
One sir, last.
Yep. So let's go and do work on it. We have 5. Just remember, we have 5. Now whatever we are going to do based on that, how many we'll get and all, we'll look into that, and why we are not getting all in some cases, why we are getting few in other cases. These are all points we have to understand. Let's work on it. Before that, just remember, as we have 5, that's all. So now we navigated. So if you want to create the segment values for a company, what you have to do? This is the navigation. Setup, financial, flex field, key, values. Application is general ledger, title is accounting, structure is ERP tree, segment is company. We have 3 segment values, segments, right? 3. I want to create for company. Select and say okay, or else directly you can type, then click on find. So if you remember, for this segment we assigned one value set. The value set name is ERP tree company, but from here you cannot see that. Under the segment, what are the segment values we are going to create here? Those all will get stored in that value set only. And within the value set, what are the rules we set up? Those will be applicable on the segment values what we create. Within the company value set level, what rule we given? The maximum size should be 4, and we enable one checkbox called as write justify 0 fill number. That means for company segment, what are the values we are entering? Those we can enter max in 4 characters, 4 digits. In 4 digits you can enter, and if you enter less than 4, it will automatically fill with zeros. That's what checkbox we enabled for company value set level. So now I am going to give value set name as value set company number as 1. See here what happens. I given 1, just tab out, it is taking 0001. That's it. Okay, 0001. So that's how it takes. But anyway, now I am going to give, okay, this I am going to give 1000. So automatically system will take the translate value. In general cases it's not applicable. When you go with different language conversions and all, that is applicable. Now you can ignore, you don't need to understand that. So company code or company number I am giving as 1000. What is the name for your company? This is the company code you are giving. What is the company name? I'll write the company name as, say, erptree.com consulting services. This is my one of the company name. The company name is ERP consulting services. Okay, this is one of the segment value. Which segment value? Company segment value. Under company segment I am creating this value. I am creating this value under company segment means, remember, I am creating this value in company segment, in company value set only. You don't find here, but already the company value set is assigned to the segment. Under that company segment, whatever you enter, those will go and store in that value set only. We'll see the proof also for that. Okay, anyway, under company segment we created one company. This is a company segment value, we can say. For segment values we have to assign segment qualifiers, right? Take the point, assign segment qualifier to company value. Just you can take the simple point as assign segment qualifiers to company segment value or else segment value. How to assign, we'll see now. This is one of the company value. Okay, company value. To this, if I want to assign the segment qualifier, what we have to do is, before that, just notice we are under which tab? Values effective. Values effective. You can see value we have, translated value, description. It's enabled, and from and to information fields we have. Here from and to means this value I want to use for which period. Generally we do never specify that. So after entering this information, just give the value and enter the actual company name as a description. After completing that, to assign the segment qualifier to the segment value, select this tab. The tab name is values hierarchy qualifiers. Once you select, here you will get the tab field called as qualifier. See here, I am going to select. Once I select it, here I can see one field called as qualifiers. By using this field only, we can assign segment qualifiers to this segment value. How to assign? It's a very simple process. How many we have? 5 we have. Remember that. How to assign? Just place the cursor in qualifiers field. Take all these points. Otherwise, when you are practicing, you will be trying somewhere. Just place the cursor in qualifiers field. It will open on pop-up window. What is the title for that pop-up window? Segment qualifiers. How many segment qualifiers we have? We discussed as 5 we have, but here we can see only 2. Allow budgeting and allow posting. So remaining 3 we are not able to see. The reason and all will be discussing. Just wait for some time. When you create a segment, when you are creating the segment values for account, at the time I will explain. Okay, but now for now just remember, for company related segment values we have only 2 segment qualifiers. Those are allow budgeting and allow posting. By default, or say automatically, system is taking as a yes. We'll be having 2 values only, yes or no. By default system is taking yes. You no need to change it. Why we are taking yes? You will understand when we are doing the budgeting. You will understand why we are using yes, in which scenario you can use no. That you will understand when we are posting the journals. At the time I will explain, because then and there we cannot discuss and understand certain things. We have to wait where those will impact. At that time I'll explain. Till that time, remember these points. Okay, I created one company. For the company I am assigning the segment qualifiers. Those are allow budgeting, allow posting. By default system is taking yes. I no need to change anything. Just say okay. Okay, just say okay. Now go to next row. We'll create one more company. Say 2000. I'll say erp3.com. Say say software development. So here we have to, for this company also we have to assign segment qualifiers, right? So how to assign? Select this tab. In simple process, we know we no need to do anything. Place cursor, it will open, then say okay. That's all. And it is asking for some contest value, not required. Say okay. Somebody enabled, that I'll be explained. Okay, that's a different concept that we call as DFFs and all. Okay, that we have separate concept as a separate concept. At the time I'll explain. For now, just to ignore if you get something, say okay. Okay, other than that, if you have any issues when you're practicing, just you can email me, so we can work on it. If any quick discussion required, I'll be available for the I'll be available on the phone to discuss also. Okay, here we'll create one more company. Say 3000. I'll say company name is erp3.com. say BPO services. So this is how you just how many entities you have in your organization, okay, or how many entities you have within your enterprise, all you can define. So all the time those may not be entities, those may refer your branches also sometimes, okay. That depends how you are going to have a solutioning, okay, for the your data security or transaction process. Based on that, that can be decided. So just give the company name and place cursor here and say okay. It's nothing, say okay. Fine. Now we created 3 company values under company segment. I'm going to save it because this chart of account is very important definition in our system. So I'm saving. If I try to close this form, what system will do is system will submit these company information to concurrent manager for validation. Just click on close. So it is asking submit. System submitted request to compile to validate one value set hierarchy. Say okay. If you go to that SRS window, from now let's call it as SRS window. Already we discussed this request window, we call as SRS. SRS means standard request submission window. Just click on refresh data. This will be completed as soon as possible. If you hit, it will complete as early as possible, otherwise it takes its own time, okay. So better you can just do this task. Done. So that is how you can create the segment values under segment. Now I will show you, see how what we are doing. We are taking the application as general ledger, title as accounting flex field. Within that we have a structure called as ERP tree, and within the ERP tree structure we have a segment called as company. For the segment, if you want to enter the values, you will be clicking on find, then you can directly enter the company segment values under company segment. So I don't want to go and enter under company segments. My requirement is directly I want to enter the company values into company value set. Already we discussed the values we can enter into value set only. Even here you are entering under segment, to that segment which value set is assigned, the values will go and sit in that value set only, okay. Remember that point. Now I will show you how to enter segment values directly into value set. It's a very simple process. See, after opening this form, normally what we are doing, we are giving the application title, structure and segment, or we are clicking on find. And before that, notice here find values by, here by default system selected key flex field. Since it is selected key flex field, we are getting all these fields. Now my requirement, I want to enter the segment value directly into specific value set. For that, what I can do is I'll go and select value set. Select value set. Now here I can find my value set. What is our value set name? Say ERP tree. Tab out, it will show what are the value sets we have with ERP tree. I'll select company. Now I don't need to enter any chart of account structure name or flex field name and application name. Straight away I can go and create. So remember, already we created 3 companies under company segment. For the company segment, this value set only already assigned. That means within this value set now you can find these 3 segment values. Let's go and see that. Select value set and give in which value set you want to create the values, then click on find. See, in this value set the 3 companies are there. How these are there? We entered under segment, under company segment. For the company segment only, already this value set is assigned. From here, if you want to create one more, you can do that. From anywhere you can do. I'll create one more segment called as one more segment value called as 4000. I'll give it as erptree.com trainings. Okay, so this is another entity. Now after creating any segment value, we have to assign the segment qualifiers. So to assign, what we have to go to this tab, values hierarchy qualifiers, and place the cursor. It will give pop-up. You don't need to change anything. Say okay. Why we are selecting always yes? In which scenario we will be selecting no? That will definitely will touch that point but we have to wait till we work on those relevant concepts. Okay, say okay. This also say okay, ignore that. Okay, now you can save it. So this is how, like, in two ways. Okay, in two ways we can create the segment values. Directly you can enter into value set, and otherwise through segment also you can enter. Finally, whatever the approach you follow, system will be storing those segment values into value sets. That means the value set only will be holding the segment values. Every value set should be mapped with the specific segment. That's it. That can be one value set can be assigned to multiple segments also, but that depends on the requirement. If that kind of case is existed, we'll do that. Generally one value set will assign to one only. Depending on what segments we are going to have, that demands, in the sense, we'll be doing that. Any questions on this, please? Any questions? So any questions on today class or previous classes? Any questions, please?
Lakshman, one question.
Yeah, please.
If you are unable to enter segment values, we need to log into sysadmin every time, or
Sorry?
when you get error only.
Sorry.
For entering segment values, we need to log into sysadmin every time.
No. Don't say entering. Say just to create segment values. Okay, you no need to log into system as a sysadmin user, and you no need to go to user management. That is a one-time task. For one user, you can do one time, and from that user, you will be able to create anytime. So one-time task. Now today we completed. You no need to do once again. That's all. Okay, that is user specific. I given the privileges to operations user. From that operations user, you can create anything. That's all. You can create the segment values. I mean, that is the point here. Any other
Thank you,
questions?
Lakshman.
Yeah, thanks. Any other questions? Maybe from previous classes. So by
Lakshman, this is Sayyid. In previous classes, we're creating calendar. No, once we're creating the accounting calendar, first time it will close. No, it will ask the submit the request. Okay.
correct.
So if any error faced, no, anything how we can debug that one? That's a question. If it error.
I think I covered that part also. What I explained is, you can mute if you don't mind. Just after asking anyone any question, please, my request is you can mute from your end. I'll be explaining again. Any further question, you can unmute and you can. So because we are getting some noise, that's it. Otherwise, we don't have any issue with that. So okay, fine. So already we discussed that point. After creating the accounting calendar, when you try to close, system will be asking to submit for validation. You'll be submitting. Then we'll go to SRS window. There we have to monitor the request. So we have to see what is the status. If it is status is going to be normal, okay, normal completion, we don't need to worry about it. If you find with a warning, definitely you have to go and click on. Okay, you have to just click on that output file. Output, there it will be showing what is the issue. Say for example, you found in so and so period 1 day is missing. In that case, what we do? Again, we'll go back to our accounting calendar and we'll open the accounting calendar. What correction, what error your system is showing in the output file, by following that, we'll be correcting your accounting calendar. After correcting, whenever you do some change, again if you try to close, again it will be triggering. It will be asking us to submit for submitting for validation. It will ask us submit for validation. Again, once you submit for validation, again it will be running. Again you can go to the SRS window. You can monitor the progress of that request. So you can see there. Still any warning if you find, again you have to repeat the same thing. This is not going to happen in any one case. Everybody knows how to create the calendar, what are the start date, end date, etc. Okay, but process wise, this is what we have to understand. Fine. Any other questions?
Lakshman, if we get the instance, no online instance you provided, no, you provide you how to access the instance. Can you let me know that, no?
Yeah, we'll provide you some guided document also. It's a simple process.
Okay,
Yeah, we can do
okay, 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 okay.
that. Fine.
So what version?
The same version we will provide. Okay, so 12 to 4, 12.2.4. That is the version we'll be giving.
Can you share the video soon after the class for us to revise for next
Sure,
session?
sure. Today I shared all the videos before sending the link only. I'm sorry I could not send yesterday, as I said. So today definitely I'll send you. Maybe you can expect maybe by 10:30 today, because the conversion takes around close to 1 hour. So after completing the class, I have to convert it. Maybe by 10:30 you can expect the video today's session.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Lakshman, I have a question.
Please.
Yeah, so basically, we define three segments, right? Company, department, and accounts, right?
Just for our
So
testing,
my
one second. Just for
yeah,
our
yeah, yeah,
testing,
yeah.
our understanding, that's what we take an example. That's all.
Yes, agreed. So basically, one of them you did not assign to any, what do you call qualifier, flex field qualifier. So that's okay. I mean, it's not mandatory to assign all of it to the flex field qualifier.
Correct.
I mean, we can leave it like that.
Yeah, that's what. See, we discussed two qualifiers are mandatory within the chart of. I can hear my voice. It's echoing from your side. I don't know. Fine. See, already we discussed. Minimum we should have two segments. The two segments should be qualified by two flex field qualifier. That is the rule. That is satisfied in our chart of account structure. That's what we have to see. You may have 10 segments and you have to use two flex field qualifiers. The rest of four you have. If you have relevant requirement, you may use, otherwise you can ignore. That's how it works. So once you understand why we are using this two, you can understand rest also. It may take some time to reach that stage. So let's wait and see. So then it will be clear for us. Maybe when we are creating the basic transaction, I'll explain you.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, fine. Thanks. So I can explain now, but thing is, it will be, it goes, I mean, it cannot reach as I expected. So that is the reason. Let's wait and discuss when we are working on very relevant, why Oracle given, where it will impact. Let's wait till that point, then we can discuss there. Any other questions? Okay, seems to no question. Okay, fine. So we can wind up for today. Then see you tomorrow same time. Have a good day and good night. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.